Good morning, good morning. It is Elizabeth here in this week's episode on Yes, Sell More with the Human Connection. How are you? I'm just going to do a quick check here to make sure that I am live and that you can hear me if you are joining me. Good morning, good morning. Yeah, there it is. There it is. More with the Human Connection. Love it. How are you? Awesome. If you are watching me live today, let me know in the comments. Let me know if you're catching this live or on the replay. Happy New Year to you. It is 2021, and I am just really psyched about this year. I am psyched for so many reasons about this year because a couple of episodes back, I was talking to you about the hottest 2021 customer trends on Facebook, YouTube, and Eventbrite. And one of the things that 2020 taught us was not only how to be resilient, right? But also really what customers were doing in terms of how they are consuming information, how they are transforming and focused on creating a better, fulfilling life. And one of those was really customers starting to get enlightened about how do I become aware, right, about changes around me, whether I'm looking to create a happier life, a better business, make a bigger contribution, make a change, raise better kids, right? All of that, 2020 was really the year about awareness to action. And that is why, friends, I'm really excited about 2021, especially if you are in the information knowledge space and the service space, because 2020 was all about enlightenment, right? 2021 is really going to be about action at a much deeper, intimate level. Right? I see some folks here joining in. If you're tuning in, type in the comments, where are you tuning in from? Whether you're catching the live or the replay. Now, today I want to talk to you about selling more with the human connection. As we step into 2021, this is going to be the biggest differentiator, right? And often I talk about leadership and how you're selling your services, your goods, whether you are an e-commerce business or you are a service provider like a realtor, a coach, or consultant. You've got to lead with your leadership. You've got to lead. Even if you're selling tangible products, jewelry, makeup, beauty, skincare, financial insurance services, right? It doesn't matter what you're selling, right? It is really about leading with your leadership. And this month, I have an upcoming boot camp called Launch to Sold Out that is going to focus on how do you build, not only just getting your offer out the door and getting yeses, right? But truly, how do you begin to build an irresistible yes, customer yes worthy offer, get into the marketplace in less than 90 days, and set up the groundwork for truly long-term a business, an actual business, not a hobby, not a thing that you're selling, but truly a profitable business that lights you up, that makes you want to wake up every day and say, wow, these are the people that I am blessed and honored to work with, right? So hang with me here. Oh, I see Wausau's in the house. Tell me where you are tuning in from. Love it. So stick with me for the next 30 minutes and we are going to just break down leadership with how you sell. You've got to be leading from a place of heart and you've got to be leading with mind, right? Heart and mind. It's got to go hand in hand. How else are you going to skyrocket your purpose and be profitable online in your business, right? You've got to lead with heart and mind. That is really the key here, folks, because you can lead with as much passion and purpose, but if you are not making money in your business, friend, you are not going to be around long enough to make the impact that I know that you are committed to making in your life, right? So stick with me. Let's talk about what are the 3 ways that you can focus on sales through the human connection. So I remember when I first started in the online business space, and I was just completely overwhelmed by the funnels, the social media ads, let alone the social media channel. How many of you have been there? Like, raise your hand, but let me know in the comments. How many of you right now are overwhelmed by all the different social media channels that are now available? Everybody is talking about what? Clubhouse, right? Like, that is like the next big social media platform. So with all of these different social media platforms that are happening right now, I want you to think about, how do I stand out in a sea full of other people that seems like they are doing the exact thing that I am doing? How do I stand out? How do I find my people? Here you are wanting to just show up in your zone of genius to serve at your highest self, right? That creation, that offer, that service that you provide, you do it from a place of passion. But online, how do you compete? How do you compete with the noise, right? Where do you even start? So whether or not you're a brick and mortar business, or you are 100% online, or you're starting out, or you're launching your next 6-figure, 7-figure idea, I've been talking about this, right, in these episodes, the shows with you. You've got to create a hybrid experience. It's not one or the other. It's a hybrid experience. And business owners, entrepreneurs, those that get that, those that are building an in-person experience, maybe you own a brick and mortar store, all the way to an online business that's scalable, and you are creating a hybrid experience. That's how you're going to sustain your business and how you're going to stand out with customer yeses. So, are you ready to dive in? Let me know in the comments here. Let me know in the comments. Hello there. And if you're watching this, then you got to click on StreamYard.com/Facebook so I can see who you are. Otherwise, I can't see you. You're just a Facebook user, right? So, are you ready to dive in? Shall we dive in? Shall we dive in? Oftentimes when we're thinking about sales, yes, all right. This person's ready to dive in. Let's dive right in. One of the common mistakes that people often make when it comes to sales is what? It's mindset, it's fear, right? Like, it's all of those things, right? But here's the reality when it comes to sales, right? We've all been sold to. We have all been sold to. Because if you opened up your wallet to take out your credit card or your cash to buy something, that's a sale. That's a sale, right? So why is it that sales has such a negative connotation with it? It's because the experiences that we remember are the sleazy ones, right? The pitch in the DM. The, hey, let's be friends on Facebook, and then 30 seconds later, they're sending you this pitch in your DM. How many of you have been there? I get that all the time. They're like, Elizabeth, would you like to collaborate? And then I get the pitch in the DM. How many of you have been there? Right? But here's what rookies don't know about sales. Whether you are building your 6 to 7 figure business, or you're just starting out, here's the thing that is a universal principle that I want you to keep in mind when it comes to selling with the human connection. You've heard the wise wisdom that in relationship, networking, and sales, it is about know, like, and trust, right? How many of you have heard that? Let me know in the comments, right? Here's the thing. Those people that come across lazy, they're trying to skip the know, like, all the way to trust. Like, they're trying to skip and shortcut those steps in common sense relationship building, right? But you can't. It's like going on a date and then just saying, I like you. Will you marry me? and expecting that person to say yes, right? It just doesn't work that way. So people that sell very well are the people that understand that selling is a relationship building process, right? And the secret is not to skip a step. Are you writing this down? I hope you brought pen and paper. It's not to skip a step. It's to accelerate the step. Let me say that again. In selling, you know it's know, like, and trust, but the secret is not to skip a step. The secret is to accelerate through it. It's like learning how to walk, right? You got to learn how to what? Crawl, steps, then walk, and then run, right? You can't just say, you know what? I want to walk and skip the crawling and the first step to get to walking or even running. That is a universal truth. It's just the way that human beings have been for as long as I can remember. I don't know about you, right? In relationship, in sales, in business, regardless if it's online or offline, that is a universal truth. That is what all the wise business leaders in large companies, all the motivational speakers and gurus that have been teaching this stuff have been saying for years. And that is the truth, is that you have to realize that when it comes to sales in your business, it's the human connection that has to lead first. It's know, like, and trust. Rookies skip that. When you get that sleazy DM in your DM, right? That generic message that feels like it's the copy and paste. You know what I'm talking about. How many of you know what I'm talking about, right? It's because, yeah, Frederico, there goes, sales is relationship. Exactly. It's because one, they didn't even try to know you. They didn't even try to get you to like them, let alone trust them. And they're already like, give to me, buy from me, right? So when you are looking at sales, I want you to shift a bad experience of selling to think of it simply as an invitation to know you, an invitation to like you, an invitation to trust you. Because when you gain that trust, that's when you get the sales, okay? Now, in today's episode, I won't talk about marketing and sales. There is a difference. And usually if you're doing this right, by the point that you get to sales, right, you've done your marketing right. That's about 70% of the job. When you get to the sale, the transaction, the conversation to close the deal, right? The conversation where your customer is taking out his or her wallet to give you the credit card number, that's the sale, that piece, that's like 20%. That's like 20% of your effort, but you got to get your marketing right. But we're not talking about marketing today. We're talking about the one-on-one conversation where, you've done your marketing, and now you're at a point where there's this awkwardness of this person's asking you about how much your services and prices are, right? And how you internally feel about it, right? So I'm going to give you 3 ways that you can focus on really leveraging the human connection to sell. But I want to make this point to you because I'm a business strategist, right? If we haven't had a chance to meet, I'm Elizabeth Yang. I am the customer yes business expert. I focus on everything that takes to build and grow your business through people first with profits to follow, right? So I fully embrace, let me just be clear. I fully embrace the human connection, living your life in purpose, right? And creating a business that is purposeful, meaningful, but you've got to make it profitable, right? So I lead with heart and mind. I run a full agency, coaching and training agency company. What does that mean? That means that I literally work alongside you to do 3 things. Principle. This is often the missing ingredient when it comes to business coaches. They teach you the tactics, which is like the how to do something, or they give you the strategy, which is really like the roadmap or the map there. But the piece that really is the glue that I have found consulting for Fortune 500 companies and working alongside small business owners, entrepreneurs, advising for startup companies that are going after venture capital funding is that it's the principle. It is the principle that oftentimes business coaches don't teach their students. They'll give you the playbook, a chapter of the strategy in their business playbook. They'll show you the how-to tactics of how to do something, but they don't guide you and coach you to trust and use your values and principles to hold, to be that glue, to hold the strategies and tactics together. And that's really critical because that's oftentimes the difference between, the marker for that just that six-figure mark all the way to the next six-figure mark all the way to seven figures is what is that principle, that guiding principles that really needs to hold my strategy and tactics together. And so that's what I do. And then meanwhile, while you and I are working together in 90 days, my team is building out a course portal for you. We take care of the tech because my goal is to get you launched. So I get you out the door selling as quickly as possible. So that's who I am. But more importantly, you're here for you. You're here for you, right? So tell me where you are tuning in from. I love to always see where people are from. Frederico here says, a reciprocal relationship based on mutual interests and trust. There's got to be a win-win. There's got to be a win-win. I often say that if you are commanding high premium prices and you're afraid that your customer is going to say no to you, don't be. Because if you're at that caliber, you can also say no to people that want to work with you. It is a win-win relationship. You've got to trust the fact that it goes two ways. Sales is a two-way conversation. All right? Eau Claire's in the house. Yes. Noonie here says, yep, she's here. She's present. All right, so let's dive right in here. Let's dive right in. So I want to talk to you about just business first, right? One of the things you're going to find with me is that I'm very purpose-driven, but I am just as compassionately ambitious about serving as I am about looking at the numbers. So I'm going to pull this up because this is so key, especially for 2021, coming out of a year like 2020, right? So let me just share my screen here. Okay. So I'm sharing this with you. If you want notes from today's episode, type handouts in the comments and my team and I will get that out to you, right? But are you ready to take a look at this? Drop me some hearts in the comments. Drop me some fires. Tell me that you are present. Show me that you are present because the goal that I'm going to be dropping here in the next 10 to 15 seconds is going to be so critical to how I want you to shift and look at your business, okay? I'm all about the 1 degree shift. I don't want you to reinvent the wheel, my friend, because you've got a lot of strengths. You've got a lot of experience and passion in you, and you've already got that. But we just need to pivot that, right? Like just tweak that just a little bit here so that you can go even further to that next level, right? Got handout. Yes, see? I make it easy for you. All right, you're present. So let's talk about what the business landscape looks like. And then I'm going to give you some practical things because you've got to be leading with your heart and your mind. And now we're talking to the mind, right? So this is a really fun graph that I want you to look at for 2021. This was from Chief Mark Tech. This is marketing technology platforms tools that are currently in the marketplace today as of April 2020. 8,000 ways to market, friends. 8,000 ways to market yourself. And that's largely due to now the online space. So if you are still brick and mortar and in person, you, my friend, are leaving dollars on the table. There is no excuse besides and this isn't even an excuse, but this is your mindset more than anything, besides the reluctancy to be online. And that's cool. If you don't want to be online and you want to be brick and mortar, that's fine. But know and make that decision and be intentional that you, my friend, are leaving money at the online door. Because if you are not searchable, if you are not findable, if that's a word, online, you are not getting business. Someone else is getting that business, and they don't have to be the best. In today's digital world, you don't even have to be the best. You don't even have to have, excuse me, years and years of experience. Why? Because there's 8,000 marketing tools and platforms that are now available to date. In other words, there's 8,000 ways to be overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. And this is really critical for you as I want to just talk to you a little bit about what that means to you in your business, right? If you're finding that you've been spending too much time looking at a certain tool or asking around for different tools or platforms or things like that, I want you to put a time restraint on that research. Don't get me wrong, you've got to do research and planning, but put a time constraint, a limitation to what that is, right? Put a time constraint to what that is, right? There's a lot of really great tools out there that are available if you're for free, if you're starting to just start out. But most importantly, the reason why we're seeing so many different tools and an increase in that is because we now need tools like Zapier to kind of band-aid things together, right? To make one tool A talk to tool B, right? It was so funny because I was just talking to somebody about organic traffic and growing your Facebook group, right? And now there's different marketing platform tools there to automate the whole new member joining your group process so that you don't have to manually go in there and copy and paste all of their information and put it into a spreadsheet. I mean, that's the reason why there's so many tools out there now. But this is huge because it's an opportunity for automation in your business, but it is also an opportunity for overwhelm, right? Here's another fact that I want to just throw in there real quick. Is this making sense? Should I continue? Let me know in the comments. Is this making sense to you? How many of you are feeling overwhelmed and stuck with all the marketing and tools available today? Right? Each tool that it's introduced is a new learning curve for us, right? It is a new learning curve for each of us, right? So you've got to put a time constraint on what that is. Now to sell online, if you're starting out, you actually don't need a lot of fancy marketing tools. And I'm going to tell you why. Because it still comes back to the human conversation. It still comes back to the fact that you cannot automate the human connection because it's still about trust. When you want that customer yes in sales, it still comes back to customer trust. And you cannot automate human connection and trust without first listening. So when you have a new idea or you're launching your next income stream, you still have to listen to what your ideal customers want. You still have to have those one-on-one conversations first to validate if this new idea, this new product, this new service is going to work for you. All right? Oh, me, yes. Still, sometimes, yeah, it can be very overwhelming. And this is really key to why when I started my business, helping other entrepreneurs to really go to market faster and serve higher purpose, higher profits, is because I said, you know what? I talked to too many of my past clients. When I first started, I was doing consulting and coaching before I decided that I'm going to have my team build course portals in the tech. They were stuck on tech too. They were taking way too long to launch. They were swirling, right? With oh, should I use this tool or that tool? And I said, look, you just got to get out there and talk to people. That's the first sale. You want results? Talk to people, right? So that's why I ended up doing that. But okay, So I want to pull back and show you that in 2021, right, you will have more new social media platforms to be on. Okay, even Facebook has made huge investments in their Facebook groups and capabilities for advertisement. So what does that mean to you? If you monetize in groups, if you monetize on a platform like Facebook or even Instagram, what does that mean? That means that there's going to be new capabilities, new tools that you are going to need to figure out how to use to grow your business, right? And that's really key because now you're going to be able to automate, but you also have to be careful not to get too overwhelmed. But the number one key here is I want you to constantly be focused on the human connection. If I had picked time, if I had to choose between, do I use this time to figure out which platform to use, or do I use this time to maybe join a Facebook group or comment or join a networking online event to get to know people? Always choose the human connection, right? Give yourself time constraint, but don't get caught up in that, right? So, all right, so it looks like my team's already on it. So let's go back here. All right, so what does this mean to you? I want you to look at this trends. We're leading and running our business. We're running this, we're wearing our CEO mindset. We're leading and looking and leading with our minds to say, okay, we can lead with our hearts, but we need to couple that with leading with our minds. What does this tell us about 2021? With 8,000 marketing technology solutions in the marketplace, look how crazy awesome this is. Like, this is crazy. You guys know I geek out on tech a little bit, but 8,000 solutions in the marketplace. Look at the growth since just 1 year, right? This was in April 2020. So in 2019, I want you to look at all these marketing tools and kind of where they kind of like bundle up, right? Or kind of where they roll up. I want you to look at two things. I have those in red here, and this is really key for you, okay? I want you to notice on my left, social and relationships, right? A huge increase, not huge, 14% compared to the rest. But this is even higher than when you look at like content and experience. This was really surprising to me, right? Because this tells me that in today's world, now that we're online, we have an increased access to more people, and we're looking for more dreaming customers that are attracted to us. We're also looking for a deeper connection, more like-minded people to connect with, which is great, right? And we're using social and tech to be able to do that. But I also want you to see the fifth line here, which is data. 26%. That means that the more tools that are now in the marketplace, we now have more intelligence, more data and insights into what does this tell us about our people? Where does this tell us about where our ideal dreamy customers are hanging out online, right? And this is going to be really key for you for two reasons, because again, you got to lead with your heart and you got to lead with mind, is that now you have intelligence into insights of how your dreamy ideal customers, where they're hanging out and what their behaviors are. That's why when I work with my students and clients, and especially at the launch to sold out bootcamp, we're going to be talking a lot about this. I'm going to give you a sneak peek into what this is in a little bit here, but this is why it's so important for you not to get distracted by the shiny object syndrome and stay committed to the one clear conversion path. Build that one bridge first. If it's in Facebook, build it first. If it's in Instagram, build that first. But build one clear conversion path on one platform for this reason. You need an end-to-end understanding of what your customer is doing, where he or she is at, what their behaviors are, because that way you can build relationships and you have the data and the intelligence to better understand how they're behaving, right? I also want you to look at the right here and look at some of the biggest subcategory growth. If you are thinking that you can sell more by copy and paste or using more automation alone in your business, when you have not yet validated whether or not your program online is going to work, I often find with my clients that even though they're really experienced, where they've had experience, coaching, like training, physical fitness coaching, they're therapist turned now coach, any of those like professionals who worked for others for a really long time and now they want to go out and be a coach or a consultant and work for themselves, they often think they just need to package that knowledge and then launch a course online or package that and put it into a program and that's it, right? But the challenge that they have with that is that people online don't necessarily behave the same way as they do when they're shopping in person, right? And so that's why it's even more critical that right now I'm talking to you from a leading with your mindset perspective in your business, because this tells me that the marketing technologies that we're seeing an uptick in is telling us that people want human connection. Like, I have nailed that in your head right now. It is that we need to use marketing tools and technology as an enabler to reach more people, right? But you've got to wrap that around the human connection. You've got to wrap that around conversations for marketing, right? And then look, there's even an increase in print because that is a channel where people are just loving right now to get mail, right? So this is really key because as the tools in the marketplace starts to grow, right, I want you to start thinking about what does that start to look like in my business? How can I use automation to sell? But you got to be able to focus on the marketing and the human connection, right? So let's dive right into some things that you can do. Look, in your business right now, whether it's offline or online, you've got to build trust. It is 100% required in your strategy. It's got to be. I mentioned earlier that in this episode, we talked about know, like, and trust and how sleazy sales happens when people skip those steps, right? They expect to be able to run without first learning how to crawl and building those muscles, right? So your trust has to be there. Trust has to be the core anchor 100%. You've got to be buckled in on this as your strategy. Where marketing technology tools and automation comes in, again, is accelerating, making faster the know loop, the like loop, and the know loop, the like loop to get to trust, right? That's where automation in the online space needs to happen. How do I accelerate the knowing? How do I accelerate the liking so that I can get to the trust? Because once I get to the trust, that's when what happens? That's when your customer says yes to you. That is when you completely get the yes. Now, this is why human connection is so important when you want to be focused on trust, because it gets you easier yeses. When you have people's trust, you get the yeses quickly, and it's quicker for you to get through no's, right? It might take you a little bit longer to nurture through marketing, right? But when it comes to the selling piece, it actually takes less time. And you want to know as quickly as possible, if you are a business owner and you want to save time, you want to know as quickly as possible who's a no and who's a yes, so that you can either focus on the yeses or focus on the no's, which is a hot tip. No can also just mean not yet, and move on, right? How many of you are loving that? Shall I continue? Shall I continue? If you want a copy of this handout, go ahead and type handout in the comments here, and my team will get that out to you. Oh, I see my team's already on top of it. Frederico says, love the topic, human connection and automation, right? That's the power of what I'm talking about today in the online space. Automation accelerates the know, the like to get you to the trust quicker. That's the power of being online. The second power of being online in your business is that now you have a different reach, a further reach than you would have otherwise in your local neighborhood, in your local community, right? So that is the power. But I don't want you to lose sight of the human connection. We still have to sell with the human connection. And believe it or not, because so many entrepreneurs are getting so caught up in the automation and what's easiest for them, they forget what it's like to be the customer first, right? So if you want these notes, type handouts in the comments and my team will get that out to you. Got a couple of those already. All right, so what's next? I already talked about this a little bit, but I'm gonna give you a hot tip. You cannot automate human connection and trust without first listening, right? Automation is whatever you put in is whatever you get. Bad in, bad out, right? Bad in, bad out, bad data, bad output, right? So use the online space, introduce in each touch point an opportunity for a real conversation, right? In email, invite your audience to respond to you and reply back that this is a real email. It's not a generic email where no one's going to respond, right? In your Facebook group, are you inviting your members to be able to DM you? So many service providers are so afraid of other people taking advantage of their expertise, asking questions that they're not paying for, right? They're coming to the table with a scarcity mindset. They're making decisions based out of fear. And they're like, do not contact me. Do not send me a DM, right? I will not answer questions because you're not paying for those questions. When you're making decisions from a place of scarcity mindset like that, you're not creating a human connection. And quite frankly, that is not their fault. If you feel like they're taking advantage of your expertise, that they are, quote, asking for additional advice that they're not paying for, that's not their fault. That's yours. You're not setting boundaries. You're not setting the expectation of how your prospects, your customers, your audience should contact you, how they should treat you, right? So gotta use it as a human connection, right? You gotta use it every touch point as a human connection with an invitation for them to be able to reach out to you, because you cannot automate that. It doesn't matter how many fancy tools you have, how sophisticated your tools are. You cannot automate the human connection and trust without first listening. In 2021, people that can listen, right? Experts that can listen are really the ones that will be able to get those customer yeses, right? Third advice, let's talk about stories. Right? I want you to think about what you're sharing online in social media. Okay, this week, if you're part of my Facebook group, the Online Business Builders and Entrepreneurs Facebook group, if you're not, go ahead and join. I'm going to be giving you some extra bonuses to go a little deeper on each of these, right? For food for thought for you. But because, I'm all about doing, right? I can give you this knowledge. You're watching this, you're consuming, it's shifting things for you, hopefully. But unless you're applying it, it's sort of like in 3 days, you're going to forget. So as part of my community inside my Facebook group, every time I do an episode like this, I like to do posts and prompts that really get you to process the information that I've been teaching you all week and applying it. And if you're not, then it's like, okay, how are you going to grow? We grow not through information, but we grow through what? Application, right? So let me just spend a couple more minutes here to talk about why stories have to be part of a conversation for you. It's about the why and the benefits that are worthwhile for them, right? So there's 3 things that I want you to think about when it comes to sharing information online, right? All right, so let me just do this for a little bit here. All right, so are you loving this? Are you loving this? Oh, I see my team's already out on here too. Yep, grabbing handouts. All right. So when you're like, Elizabeth, I get it, share my story, post, That's probably one of the most frequently asked questions that I get from my clients is I don't want to, social media isn't my thing. I don't want to air all my dirty laundry and share my whole entire life like a reality television show on social media, right? How many of you have had thoughts like that, right? So when you're sharing online your story, there's actually really critical stories that I want you to think about. And if you're getting a handout for this, you're going to be able to process this a little bit more. But the key here is to demonstrate that you are a contributor. Let me say that again. What am I talking about? In your social media sharing, whether it's email or other social media platforms, stories are what creates conversations, right? And these conversations in your stories that you're sharing, which is a post or an email, a video, audio, whatever that genre is for you, is really about the why and the behind the benefits that are worthwhile for your dreamy customer, right? So there's 3 roles that I want you to be aware of. Are you a hoarder, a spammer, or a contributor when it comes to sharing your stories and selling online? Let me break that down for you. A hoarder is someone who constantly collects information. They learn and they read and they learn all of these insights, but then they basically barely even post any learning or insights. That's a hoarder. You're leading your business as a hoarder. You're learning all these things, but you're keeping it to yourself. You're storing it in your mind because maybe there's fear there. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe there's a hesitation, whatever that is, but you're still hoarding. You're storing all that information, all those goodies that you're using that you now know, and you're keeping it in the back of your mind because for you, someday when you're ready, you'll share it. Someday, future, whatever that is. So your social media is like crickets, right? Like there's barely activity because you're hoarding. And when you're hoarding, ain't nobody gonna buy from you. Okay? When you're hoarding, you are not creating the human connection that is going to get you more yeses to sell more. Do not be a hoarder, right? Challenge yourself. What did I learn this week that can be a quick story for me to share that will benefit my audience, right? That's what a contributor is. A contributor is someone who looks at the stories that they're sharing and selling and saying, how do I share this in a way, right? I call this a Buddha meets badass moment in time. Like the stories that they're sharing as a contributor is like this. Do you want me to share a little bit more about what that looks like today? Type yes in the comments if you're with me so far. Let me know that you're still present here with me, okay? We're about to have just a breakthrough moment here. The stories that you're sharing as a contributor, right, in your online presence and social media are moments in time where you're telling a story of how Buddha met the badass to build trust. What am I talking about? The Buddha is an enlightenment to your audience that gives a shift of something. It's a shift. That's why lessons are powerful. It's a shift that happens. That's a Buddha. I call it Buddha enlightenment, right? So think of the Buddha. Like, is this a Buddha moment? What did I learn from this, right? And this could be a post even about your kids, even about what you're eating, right? Like these are, if you leverage social media to grow and sell your business and sell online and get sales and get customer yeses, your stories have to introduce Buddha moments. Even Buddha moments can be funny, can be deep. So an example of that might be if I'm sharing a post about my kids, right? You'll see that I might talk about my kids, or I might talk about what I'm wearing or what I'm doing for self-care, but there's always an enlightenment in that, right? There's always a Buddha moment, right? So the Buddha meets badass. What's the badass? What's the badass, right? Whether or not you feel like a badass, I hope that you are working towards being a badass, right? The badass is about showing there's a turnaround somewhere in your story. There's a courage that comes up. There's an embracing of vulnerability, right? There's an embracing of, wow, I felt really dumb and stupid when I did this, right? There's an embracing of something. That's really what badass is, right? It's like you're embracing the fact that you didn't know and now you know, that maybe you had an embarrassing moment and you worked through it, right? So your stories are moments in time where Buddha meets badass, right? That's what builds trust. When we talk about authenticity, what we're really talking about is trust. And contributors, you're wearing the role of a contributor when it comes to human connection, conversations, and stories that get you more sales. What you're choosing to share intentionally is as a contributor. I want to contribute to that person's life. Now, on the opposite extreme, right, we talked about a hoarder. You know a lot of stuff. You collect a lot of information. You store it in your brain. You store it for only your paid clients, right? Oh, too much. Nope, they ain't paying for that. They sent me a DM. They're not paying for that. I ain't sharing, right? You're hoarding. And nobody likes a hoarder, right? Nobody wants to go to their house, right? Nobody wants to walk in through the door when it comes to hoarding. Be a contributor. On the opposite side of hoarding are spammers. We've all experienced them, but I'm going to break it down of how a spammer can look like. You might not even know. You might think of spamming as like sending someone constantly in their DM box, right? Their inbox. But a spammer could also be everything that they do is like all about them. There's no Buddha meets badass moment in any of their stories, in any of their posts, in any of their emails. It's all about them. It's all about, look, here is my Lamborghini. You want one? Right? Where's the enlightenment in that? Or look at how much money I made. What was the lesson in that? Right? So they're chasing these really service level conversations. It's about, look at my success. Do you want to be like me? Right? Those are spammers. Those are spammers. And so you've got to ask yourself, right? Do I want to be a hoarder, a contributor, or a spammer? And you might not even know that you're doing any of these, but this shift, right, and conversations, again, conversations are stories, is going to up the human connection across all channels and platforms in your online business, right? And that's how you're going to get more yeses, right? And if you've been following me for a while and you watch any of my past episodes, I've often talked about micro yeses to the macro yes. The macro yes is the sale, right? Your stories, you want people to resonate, to feel that you're relevant to them, right? Those are all micro yeses, right? And so you want to be able to share conversations through your stories, right? We talked about the universal principle of business being know, like, and trust when it comes to sales and relationship building, right? Well, it's the universal principle when it comes to being a human being that our connections happen through stories, shared experiences, and that is through conversations and stories. And you don't have to be this amazing, charismatic, gifted, storyteller, public speaker. That's not what we're saying. All I'm saying is that what you share needs to demonstrate that you can honestly say that you are being a contributor, you are not being a hoarder, and you are not being a spammer, but you're being a contributor because your stories have Buddha meets badass moments in it. Are you following me on that? You following me on that? All right. So if you are loving this, let me know that in the comments. Let me know that you are present still with me and that you are showing up. Send me some hearts and drop me some fires. I see that. So here's what I got next for you, right? Here's what I got next for you. If you are loving this and you're like, Elizabeth, I love the fact that we are talking about how to grow my business online through leading with heart and leading with mind, I want to invite you to join my free bootcamp that's coming up on the 15th, Launch to Sold Out, where we get to actually apply many of these principles and teachings that I often talk about in my episodes here. And this is a sneak peek at exactly what we are going to be covering. And let's see if I can zoom in here a little bit, right, to talk about with you, right, what we're actually going to be talking about. So this is actually for 5 days, right? I often say, give me 5 hours. I will give you so much value. My bold promise to you is that I'm not only so passionate and excited about this, but my bold promise to you is that you are going to get just 5 hours with me, so much more value than your last investment. Why? Because oftentimes people focus on giving you the how-to for just one sliver. I am going to give you my whole entire roadmap on what it takes to sell out in 90 days. Yeah, 90 days to launch your next online income stream. So let's cover what that is. If you are loving the fact that we're talking about sales with a human connection, we're talking about, wow, how do I leverage technology to automate and accelerate know, like, and trust so I can get more sales without being sleazy, without the stress, this is exactly what we're going to tackle in one of the topics in the bootcamp. So can I share more with you? Let me know in the comments. Send me some hearts and emojis. Can I share more with you? Awesome. I love it. So here's what we're covering, right? We're going to cover in the bootcamp, day one, your positioning. Like, how do you position yourself as the number one go-to expert in just 90 days, especially if you want to command higher prices and premium prices. I just worked with a client who 25x her product, 25x the pricing of her product, right? How did I do that? How did I do that? It's because I made her the number one go-to expert in the niche that she wanted to be in. I co-created that with her. And I said, what will it take for you to feel confident to be the number one go-to expert in this? And that's what her and I worked on together, right? So lucky you, during the boot camp, we were tackling that in day one about what it takes to do that in just 90 days. Yes, you can do that in just 90 days, right? It's that simple. But there's a method to the madness. Day two, we talk about your income. There's one of 6 online income streams that I often coach and consult with my clients on. And I'm a big believer that your income stream, whether it's a group program, a membership, a course, any of those virtual online events, I also do online summits as well, it's got to come from a place of strengths, and it's got to come from the fastest results for your clients. And on day two, we're going to talk about that, because I can't get you to stick around long enough in your business if you're not bringing money in through the door, right? There's no way that you can live out and skyrocket your purpose if you ain't got profits to follow, right? So let's just talk about what that income stream looks like. This is for serious business doers, right, who are ready to really tackle and say, I want to be a business. I don't want to be a side gig. I don't want to just dabble and be a hoarder, right? Or a spammer. I want to be a contributor. I want to be able to take my passion, turn it into profits, and do this every single day full time and make money at it, right? That's what we're going to do. And day two, we just tackle that. And here's why I do that on day two, because I often find that if you're not serious about making money, right, then it's not a business that you're after. It's a hobby. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you got to keep it real with yourself. You got to say yes to what it is that you really want, right? Shall I continue? Day three. This is literally the launch roadmap that gets you to sold out, to building a profitable business. I'm laying my roadmap out there, right? We talk about marketing content. What does it take, right? What does it take to map your marketing for your client getting machine in just 90 days, right? Like, what will it take for you to just do it in 90 days? How many hours are you spending on your content, right? This is all about micro yeses, right? And that's why day one, we tackle positioning, because once you know that you are the number one go-to, we're going to claim and you're going to own that. And then we're going to talk about the machine that you need to crank out that's going to save you time to start what? Laying the breadcrumbs of micro yeses to get to the sale, right? And then, of course, let's talk about it. Sales, right? Lead with human speak. Lead with human speak to sell without sleaze and stress. And we're going to break it down what that is on day 4, right? Let's talk about day 5, operations. Yeah, we're talking about operations. Why am I talking about operations so quickly in the boot camp? It's not sexy, but it's needed if you want to scale your purpose. We're going to talk about what not only your online income stream and launching in that first 90 days, but what it takes to scale your purpose into multiple six figures after that first 90 days. Like, I'm playing for the long term. I don't know about you, but we're playing for the long term, right? We want a profitable business because we want to be able to reach as many people to make an impact, to transform lives. You know, imagine what that would do to your life. If you could wake up every single day doing what you feel is your passion, right? Doing what you feel is your purpose. I get to wake up every day and do these lives, right? Talk on these episodes, and it just lights me up. I don't feel like it's work. I really don't, right? So we're going to talk about that in day 5. And then I have some VIP bonuses, 3 specific VIP bonuses here, specific critique and feedback, right? So we're going to spend day 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to build out your launch map. And then you're going to get extra time with me for specific critique feedback. I will look at your launch map and say, where's the gap? Let's talk about it, right? And give you specific coaching, laser coaching to critique and improve, right? And then we're going to talk about your yes worthy offer. What does it take to take an average offer to yes worthy and irresistible? And this is like a before and after. I'll be providing and sharing examples across different industries and sectors and what it takes to build out your offer. And talking about why is this different from a product or a thing that you're selling? You've got to create a yes worthy, irresistible offer, right? And then lastly, we will focus on your success mindset. What does it take? What does it take to be able to make that millionaire shift, right? So this is exactly what we are going to be tackling during the 5-day boot camp. So if you want to opt in for that and just give me 5 hours, right, of you showing up, putting in effort to do this, you will have your launch to sold out map done. 5 hours. Okay? Done. D-O-N-E, right? So that's exactly what we're going to be tackling during the boot camp. So I invite you to check it out at launchtosoldout.com bootcamp. And if you want any of the notes that I've talked about today about how can you really show up in the human connection to sell more, go ahead and type handouts in the comments, and my team and I will get those handouts out to you. And if you're part of our community, or if you haven't joined yet, join Online Business Builders and Entrepreneurs, because inside that group this week, I will be doing prompts to go a little deeper at holding you accountable, doing a check-in with you on how you are showing up in your marketing, in your sales, so that you are truly staying aligned with the human connection. I hope if there's anything that you can walk away from today's episode, it is this. It is that 2021 is a really exciting year because customers, consumers, people are ready for change. They are ready for action. 2020 was all about resiliency and enlightenment for them. And this year, they are looking for more deeper, intimate connections to live their purpose, to heal, to get to that other breakthrough. It is at a much more dynamic and deeper level than I believe in prior years, right? Just given where everything has been with the pandemic, with our political landscape, people are looking for more connection. And so you might be asking yourself, well, Elizabeth, what's the catch with this boot camp? Why is it that you're giving all of this for free for 5 days? It is because I am on a mission in 2021 to serve 50 diverse entrepreneurs who want to get heard and seen and paid online, because I believe that we need more diverse entrepreneurs, diverse in terms of people of color, diverse in terms of life stages and ages, right? And more diverse expertise that's affordable to the everyday customer, consumer in the marketplace. Because given everything that we have gone through in 2020, people, the world are looking for other experts to connect with that look like them, that understand and empathize with them, right? And I'm just not talking about people of color. I am talking about your fusion of everything that you are, from your past experiences to your Buddha meets badass moments, right? To how you're showing up. I can tell you with full certainty and confidence that the marketplace wants more diversity. They want people that look and feel like them. And that is what I am committed to in 2021, is to step up my leadership, to step up my game so that I can launch more entrepreneurs into the online marketplace much more quickly, 90 days, so that we can meet the growing demand of people who are ready for transformation, people that are ready for healing, for people that are ready to be connected and to really just show up as their highest self ever, right? That's what I'm committed to. And so the boot camp is my way of giving back and saying, where are you at? Let's check in. What will it take, right, for you to really get that idea to income, and income into a business that is profitable, so that you can be around long enough to continue, right, to fund your own dream and make that impact and make that difference. That's what 2021 is all about. So I invite you to join me inside of my group, to invite you to join me inside of the boot camp, where you and I get to work alongside my team one-on-one closely to get through that roadmap, right? To get through that roadmap. Because the quicker that you can launch to sell out, right, the quicker you can begin to turn that passion into profits, right? And that, my friend, is the key to making a difference, right? You don't need to change the whole entire world, but you can change one person's world. And that has got to be worth something, right? So join me next week. I will be talking about the 4 money levers, best self, best sales ever in 2021. And I'm going to be talking about the 4 money levers that you need in your business. And yeah, we're going to be tackling this inside of the bootcamp too. But I want to give you a high picture of what these 4 money levers are, so that you can think about, wow, how am I showing up? What is my best self? What are the best sales ever that I can get in 2021? So join me next week as we talk about that. 4 money levers, best self, best sales ever. All right, so I'm out.